lot of the beginnings of Arcweb actually start at I guess, near the end of the road with ViewsIt, in that I was an employee and partner of ViewsIt, and I wanted to figure out what we were going to do with the company, because we'd kind of been in the same spot for a really long time, and I was getting a little bit impatient with kind of where we were, and then my partners, I'd say we didn't necessarily have a shared vision on sort of where the company should go. The resolution basically was that I was definitively going to leave, and I was very clear about that. And I gave myself around 6 months to say that I will no longer be an operational partner in this company. And I didn't know exactly what that meant from a compensation, from an equity perspective or whatever. I just made it very clear that, I'd made this decision, and that was what I was going to do. And if it ended up being 7 or 8 months, that's fine. I wanted to be fair, and my partners, I love them to death and had spent years and years of my life with them, and would never do anything that would negatively harm them. And so I just wanted to make sure it was a graceful exit. And so I started a company called Arcweb Technologies, and I was using that to transition myself as a W-2 employee of ViewsIt into a 1099 contractor. So instead of getting a pay stub every month, I was now invoicing ViewsIt as essentially my first customer of Arcweb. And I didn't know necessarily what I was going to do with Arcweb. I like having my accounting clean from my personal finances to the corporate finances, and just having a separate corporate entity is a nice way of doing that. Although the way that the tax laws are, you can be a sole proprietor and run everything through your own personal taxes and have everything run through your personal accounts. In my opinion, it's really hard to manage all of that, so I wanted a separate entity. So I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, and I had a few paths that I wanted to take. One was I wanted to start a new company, a new product company, a venture-worthy company, something that maybe could raise venture money and something that is in high demand and worth doing. Or I was going to partner up with, again, another sort of like co-founder type of engagement, but I wanted to limit my co-founding partners to sort of been there, done that, really rock star level people that had maybe already raised several rounds of venture capital, had already exited a few companies, and the difference between myself and them was pretty big, but that the person would have to really see the value of me as an up and comer, hopefully, and be able to take on the risk in investing in me too. So that was my second path, and the third was that I would just keep consulting. So I had sort of three specific things that I was trying to figure out. And I had a list of ideas that I was thinking about building for product companies. If I was on a meeting with someone that I thought could be a co-founder, depending upon whether they met the criteria of being this total rock star or not, I would either pitch them on my ideas very strongly, or I would soft pitch them on them and try to get their feedback and see what they're excited about. Because what I learned, trying to do a lot of founder dating, essentially, is that most been there, done that rock star entrepreneurs already have ideas, and they really want to do their ideas, and they're less amenable to doing something that someone else comes up with. That's most founder level people. Now there's plenty of people that are great executives and more professional managers that are fine not being the idea person, and are fine joining up with a founder and taking on COO or CEO role after the founder has gotten it to a certain point. But I was really looking for other entrepreneurs and people that sort of fit that traditional mold of an entrepreneur. And then consulting, in the meantime, I was basically doing some independent consulting on some small projects. So I built what I call the awesome pipeline, and I've talked about this in a few other presentations, and there's a blog post that we're going to be posting about it, where I build a list of everyone that I know that is awesome, and it's in a Google spreadsheet, and I prioritize the list and I categorize it, and I just try to get a meeting with everyone that I should be talking to, whether it's someone professionally that I've talked to in the last 10 years, or somebody that I worked with, or people that I aspire to talk to and aspire to hang out with. And so I basically build out the pipeline, and I just got busy making meetings. And so for, probably well over a year, my breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day was covered with a meeting with someone. There's a book called Never Eat Alone, and I've never read it, but I feel like I don't have to because I pretty much live it or have lived it. But I get it, and was just trying to build relationships. So every person that I met with, I was pitching one of those three things, and just trying to figure out from an idea and a feedback perspective, just which way should I go? That's a pretty long, convoluted way of figuring out what you're going to do in kind of the next stage of life. But what happened was none of my founder dating prospects really worked out because I could never really come to an agreement on an idea and what two of us would work on. None of the other, I'd say, other professionals that I knew were really interested in my ideas, and so none of the founder dating side of things worked out. What was working was I kept getting people ask me to build larger and larger consulting projects, some of which I said no to, some of which I said yes to. The first really big one that came along was MakerBot, who asked us to build the Mac and PC software for the MakerBot. This was for the Rep 2 MakerBot, which was a brand new MakerBot that was launching. It eventually made the cover of Wired magazine. That launched it, and I didn't even know it at the time. And it was really at that point that I realized there's a really high demand for the subject matter expertise and the skills that I have. And so why not, instead of picking just one venture and running with it, why not try to run with as many of them as I possibly can and be immersed in an environment where I'm doing and managing product development for a whole series of people, entrepreneurs, etc. And so that is, what today is Arcweb Technologies.